Hey everybody, today I'm going to show you how we can automate labor cost calculations with Parabola. Parabola is your team's hub for building, automating, and sharing data workflows. What is a data workflow for labor? Well, typically you're going to run into a few problems. Your Zenefits, Gusto, wherever your workforce and salary and shift data is, it's hard to get that to talk to other business data. Typically you got to export it, crack it open in Excel, mess with it a bit before you can even start to mash it up with sales data by location or whatever else you're trying to use to measure the productivity of your employees. And if you don't do this frequently, you're going to have bad visibility on performance, or you're not really going to be able to put the cost that you're paying for labor into the context of what benefit you're getting to your business. And even if you do execute it super well and you do it exactly when you need to do it all the time, you're doing a bunch of repetitive daily work that really should be automated. So Parabola's viewpoint is that we can automate the heck out of this. Instead of doing it the old way, exporting a CSV from your HR software and doing a bunch of treatments and VLOOKUPs, we're going to set up a flow once in Parabola. It's going to do the heavy lifting for you every day, and in a way that your team can actually reuse and build on your work so that all of you get to sit back and enjoy the benefits of the automation that you've created. Now, for the purposes of this demo, we're pulling from Zenefits. Zenefits has an API, and Lord knows I'm not an engineer. Without being an engineer, I was able to use Parabola to get a bunch of data out of the API, which I think is really nice. The way you do it is over here in steps. Just drag this pull from an API somewhere onto here. I've set up a couple of them because there's some sensitive tokens and access stuff in here. But this is basically what you're going to get out. I've blurred out some portions of the screen because this is real data. This is what you're going to get out of the Zenefits API. All you got to do is plug in the endpoint URL here. And put in your token, and you start to get this information back. And they have a different URL. You can find this in the Zenefits documentation. It's not a secret. But when you put in your token, you start to already get some useful information out. And again, I'm not an engineer. I was able to get this in about 5 minutes. We can see here, this is a separate URL for each person, URL for the approver, and then the hours and what day they worked. So let's just start doing some simple treatments to this. I'm going to select only a couple of the columns from these shifts, right? So I pull the arrow over here to the select column step that I just made, and I'm going to keep only a couple of these. I'll pick the person, and I'm going to pick the hours. And I don't need this object or is overnight anymore. And here I'll refresh. And you get this nice treated, okay, here's the person, here's the hours. Now, I'll save you the watching me click around for another 20 minutes or so, and we can kind of just zoom out and take a look at the whole flow. Here, I'm pulling employee salaries and shifts. We're appending some locations, which location they're working at, how many hours, combining all of that and finding the costs and the sales for the week, pulling the sales from a external CSV. We can see here, here are all my locations, the employees who've worked the last 30 days, the shifts they've worked, shift per employee, all the wages that have been paid out, the sales per employee, and wage. You can see over here, this is actually getting automatically emailed out with the subject line and body that you see here, and this will be attached to the CSV, saving me a bunch of repetitive work. Any of these cards can be saved as a template with the authorization too. So all the work I've done, authenticating into the API, clicking around, finding the stuff I want, I can share this with the rest of my team so that without having to do any of that, they can get the benefit of the work I've already done, which is pretty cool. What else is possible with this flow? Well, instead of just emailing it at the end of the flow, you could do a Slack alert to your leads when things are going well or poorly with the shifts or the sales. A Google Sheet, you can put the data into a Google Sheet so you can start observing trends over time, making a new tab or a new row every week or so, however often you wanted to run it, so you can see how things are going. Or you could use DocSpring to make a nice PDF with some rich content that you could use to manage up and more. The great news is you can get started for free with Parabola right now. They have a 14-day free trial where you pay nothing and can start doing everything I've shown you here. Just go to parabola.io and click sign up. Thanks.